Mid-century modern, a little more than halfway done, and we've got two additions on this house. One on the far side of the house and one right here on the close side of the house. And the last thing that we need to do before we can button it all up and start our interior finishes is to get this last bit of roof in, Tommy. And so over what's going to be the new living room, we got to finish the roof.
Right, and this roof got a pretty funky system here.
So this is the sort of outside wall of the house, and this is a wall of glass, which explains all the steel.
Right, right. And that steel's got to carry a pretty heavy load. I mean, if you look at the rafters down here, they all run that way, parallel to this wall. Until you get to that beam right there, then they transition 90 degrees and they come out. So they're cantilevered. So we have a rafter right here.
What do you guys call this, an I-joist?
This is an I-joist. It's an engineered piece of rafter.
Yep.
So if you look at it, it has a top and a bottom and a center web.
Yep.
Okay.
That's your I-beam right there.
Right, and that web is, the job of that web is to hold these two together. The higher the web, the longer and straighter, the stronger the span will be.
Yes.
Okay. So now if we take these and we support them into the hangers on that wall right there.
Yep.
And drop it down, span it on this wall and bring it out, we're now cantilevering the rafters, which gives us the overhang that we need for the porch down below.
We're going to step out of those glass doors onto an open porch. This is our protection from the weather.
Now these webs, as I said, is meant to hold the top and the bottom apart, but it doesn't have a lot of force down on a point load. And the point load would be right here on the wall.
Okay.
So think of the weight pushing down there and the weight pushing down here could crush this and damage it.
So I'm looking at a blocking there and I'm looking at blocking right here. That's to reinforce it at those point loads?
Right, I call it a crush block, and the block down the end is a nailing block for our hangers.
Oh, I see.
The other thing you want to notice is, you see the hangers that we have right there?
I do.
Those hangers are there to hold the rafter from dropping down.
That's kind of the way we always put them
But we have a cantilever right here, so when there's weight on the roof, this fulcrum right here, the center of it, acts like a seesaw.
Oh, interesting.
All right.
So you're saying it could pop up out of that hanger?
Right. So what we do is we put a hanger that carries the load down, and we put a second hanger on top to stop the force from going up.
Very clever. Let's get them in.
All right.
The big bank of windows right here in the kitchen, now they're gonna look great, but they've been causing us all sorts of trouble. There is a large gas range right here, and that has to be vented. So you're gonna have the range vent right here, but the vent pipe has to be exposed. We've also had to figure out where to put all the outlets that code requires to have all along this countertop, and obviously going through a window doesn't work. And now, Richard, the windows are causing us plumbing problems too.
Right, sink wants to go right here. Now normally, on any kitchen sink, on any appliance, you might have the drain inside the wall. Here's the trap underneath the sink.
Yep.
And then the vent has to come above and run underneath, but work its way up through the building and tie back into the vent system.
So it's clearly not going to go in front of the windows.
There's no spot here, Kevin. There's nowhere. It's all windows. It's all structure, right? So if the sink was maybe at the end down here, I would contemplate actually maybe coming up and drilling through the studs. But look at this. There's a solid beam here. We can't go through this, and there's no wall here.
Right, and coming all the way this way.
I would never go through all that structure and drill through it.
I don't know, you've got a couple too. No, you're right. But haven't you shown us a magical vent that allowed the air to go one way but not the other?
Yeah, it's an air admittance device, looks like this, and it's a one-way device. It would let air come in, but it wouldn't let it go out, okay? But this would be sitting inside the wall right here.
Boy, that seems like the perfect application for that.
You'd think, but it's actually not approved in Massachusetts and many other states because it's relying on a mechanical device to have proper venting. And if it ever failed, then you'd have live sewer gas coming into the cabinet, so it's not approved in many places.
So if we can't use that, what do we use?
Well, we're going to borrow from the technique that's always been approved with local approval by the inspector, a thing called a bow vent. If we had the sink out on an island, we have the same issue, right? You got no place to run the vent, so they've allowed a thing called a bow vent. And so this is the beginnings of it right here. So now this will be underneath the sink, and here's the drain going this way.
Right, so when you say this way, is this beneath the floor now?
Yeah, there's a two button, the floor is right here, and this is, but now you come down here. So at this point, everything above here, it goes up to just underneath the countertop, and it works its way down, and this is now a vent. But if we just ran it like this down under the floor and then ran it up through the building, it would be a place where if there was ever a stoppage, the water could back up over this point, and now it can come down here and be trapped down here, and it would trap the vent from not working anymore.
So if a vent is filled with water, it's ineffective.
That's right. So the most important part of this piping technique is to do this.
Let's go here.
Yep, that goes there, and then bring that other one in. Yeah. This is the proper piping technique. So now, if there was ever a stoppage and the water came here, it would continue down. This is a vent, but it would have a relief drain right here so that it would always stay clear.
So overflow water could go here.
Absolutely, and then you'd always have this vent right here. So now this will be below the floor. Now, once we get below the floor, I can pretty much go anywhere I want horizontally with pitch. So we'll go down here, and it turns out that there's no place to go up right here, so we're going to turn again, and now go up through this partition and tie back into the vent system.
So a long way to go, but with vents, that's okay. As long as we end up through the roof, we're all right.
And they have to be properly sized.
Good. All right, well, let's hope this is the last time the windows cause us trouble.
These windows are lovely, but they're really a pain.
Thank you, Richard.
All right.
Our original house has got vertical wood siding on it, and the local preservation society says we have to keep it, so we will. And for the additions, we will match it. Now, the original is probably redwood or cedar, and this is what we're going to use for the addition. It's 1x6 cedar. It's got a V groove, and it's all going to be primed on all 6 sides before we put it up. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey,
So, Eric, have you done any siding in your past?
not a whole lot and not wood, so it's been fun.
Well, I know you have, Tommy.
You might say that.
Yep. So we're going to match what's on the front of the house with the cedar.
Right.
Although you're going to run it in a couple different directions.
Well, we have to continually match the vertical siding on the old section of the house, this part with the old boards, the
Yep.
1x8 boards. When you see the new walls here, this is all going to be horizontally done.
Right. Boy, if that doesn't show the difference between old and new, right? I mean, you've got
yeah.
the plywood that's kind of waterproof, and then you got the old sheathing system right here.
Right. Now this old sheathing system, look at all the gaps between the boards, and that's all from expansion and contraction, and over time, when these boards were put on, they were put on wet, and they were hand nailed. Over time, they dry out, they shrink, now we have a lot of caps.
I mean, some of those are half an inch thick, right?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were tight when they went up, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Now you also notice, you can see these nails? All of these nail heads are actually loose now because over time as the board expands and contracts, it pulls the nail out, the board dries, and then the board swells and pulls it out a little further. So we need to tighten up all these nails. So we're going to bang them in by hand and then add more. What we want to do is we want to put these boards back tight to the structure because it adds integrity to the structure.
Looks like a perfect job for you, Eric.
Yeah.
So Eric, you nail off those by hand, bang them in, and let's add some more nails with it. Now years ago, we would cover these walls with felt paper, tar paper.
Yeah, I remember taking it off when I was taking off the old stadium.
Right, and the paper that was on it is right here. This is a 15-pound felt paper. Sometimes we would even use a 30-pound felt paper. It's even better, but it keeps the water intrusion from getting to the building, but it also allowed the building to breathe. But we didn't use a lot of insulation there. This product right here will keep the water from getting to the building, but it's breathable, so those vapors from inside can come through the siding. It pretty much acts like this right here.
So instead of an impregnated coating, we just have it in a sheet because we're doing a retrofit.
Exactly. So now we can just take this, and we're going to put it up on the wall, wrap it around this corner like this, and I want to bring it down so it goes down to the foundation, because eventually we're going to have to seal it to the foundation with a compatible caulking. Get it on here, we just staple it. Get it right in. All right, so now our walls are protected just about the same way. So when you put the siding up and you put it flat against the wall, like that, you always have to worry about the risk of water collecting behind the two. And if we put the siding tight here, it can't dry out. All right, that's why we're going to back prime it. But the other thing we're going to do is we're going to put this matrix system right here on top of it. And then when the board goes over it, it keeps it off the wall so the back of the siding and the wall can dry out and water can run down.
And we'll put the matrix on the old as well as the new?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to start over here in the corner right here, and I've got a mark on the foundation to keep the bottom right on that mark. Got it there, Ed?
Yep, right.
Okay, so I'll staple that and bring it in tight to the corner. And up even, that's right, yeah. Let me get this where it goes here first.
You want to wrap the corner or you want me to cut it?
No, we'll wrap it.
So Tommy, same material that we use when we've done cedar shingling as well.
Absolutely, we've used it on all kinds of siding.
I'm gonna get this nail out of here, hang on.
All right, that's it for the first row. Let's get the second row going.
The principal source of heating in this house will be radiant floor heating in every single horizontal surface in the building. But we still need air conditioning and dehumidification. And this building has got zero space for mechanical. It has no attic, and it has no real usable basement. The basement is actually going to be used as an exercise room. So we fought for mechanical room space. We got a little bit at one end to put an air handler for the kitchen living room, and we have another space right here for another air handler. Air handler is pretty straightforward. It has a blower right here. It'll push out through into a small duct system. Down here there's a refrigerant coil that'll actually cool the air, and that's going to connect to a condenser up on the roof. Now the condenser's up there because we really don't have a lot of space around this relatively small footprint of a lot we've got here. Now that condenser can also act as a heat pump, as a backup or a boost feature if we wanted it. Now to get started, we're going to get this air handler mounted right here on the wall. Matt Furry and his crew is helping with the installation on this job. At the base there's a filter box that'll be the return air portion. And the air handler will then mount to the wall. All right, you can see on this side our refrigeration connection will go up to our condenser. And down here is a condensate drain. Anytime you air condition, you're going to make water. And you have to get rid of the condensate. So there'll be a drain right here. It'll go down to a little pump, and we'll pump it out. On this lower level, we're going to end up with two zones, one for the lower bedrooms, one for the upper bedrooms. So we'll have a T right here, and it'll go to two branches with two motorized dampers. And this is a zone damper that'll close off for each zone. I'll give you that, Peter. With a conventional ducted system, the ductwork always starts really big at the air handler, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as rooms get taken off of the main trunk. But with a small duct high-velocity system, it's one size supply trunk. This size is just 6-inch round insulated duct. And we had a fight to even find this spot right here. We have a spot because the foundation is here, we can lose it. And there weren't many places to lose the ductwork. So it runs right here, and this will be for this lower zone. Off of the trunk, we'll cut in the sound attenuators. This is a spun nylon attenuator to knock down any velocity noise because the air in these type of systems moves faster. But properly installed, it'll be quiet. It'll plug into here, and then the outlets come into the room, and you just need to be sure that the outlets don't blow on people. They have to just be in corners or they won't blow on people. So that's for the supply. Now on the return side, the return has a filter from the factory, has a filter like this, and it's supposed to connect to a flexible duct like this. Well, there's absolutely zero space for this. Right above us is a bathroom. We can't go here. We really have no place to run this duct. So what we did was to change it to individual, smaller returns. So you can see right here, this is an oval, and the oval will be able to fit inside of a 2x4 wall and be padded out a little bit. And then right up above us, this is what the return boot will look like. It'll be a much smaller grill. There'll be 3 of them that run down here inside this wall. And what they do is they come right down and come out through here and tie into the bottom of this return box. So there's one filter for the whole system, but 3 individual returns. This house is not easy. Up here on this level are our bedrooms. It has its own zone. Now right below us is that mechanical closet where the air handler is, and above it is the bathroom. And we needed to find a way to get a trunk up to this level. We looked around and there wasn't many places to do it, except fortunately right here is a closet. So we could lose this trunk in the back side of the closet. And once we did that, it freed us up to supply that bedroom, the bathroom, and this part of this bedroom. But out here, look there's a wide open partition. There's no real place to run it. We actually can't run the attenuator up inside this insulated ceiling because that would void the insulation. So what we did is we ran them here, the attenuators, here with a slotted outlet that'll sit on the high sidewall. The reason for that is, if you have a conventional outlet, you can't really run it inside of a 2x4 wall because it would kink it and constrict it too much. So they make these slotted outlets, which are perfect to fit inside of a 2x4 wall. They also make them actually in a straight outlet here, and we've used these to be in the kick plate on a kitchen cabinet so it comes out low out of sight. There's really not too many houses we can't fit it in. If we did it here, we could do it just about anywhere.
There is an entryway off of the patio right here. And even though we've got these large roof overhangs and we're going to have gutters to catch the rainwater, Tommy, if you'll clip me in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just the rainwater that we have to worry about up here.
No, it's really in the wintertime. You get all that snow, and that snow could turn to ice, and the ice can actually slide off the roof, and that's not good on that entryway down there.
Right, that could really hurt somebody.
Right.
So the entryway is just here. We're not worried about the other spots.
No, that can slide off, and it will slide off, but right here we have to put a snow fence or a snow guard right here to hold it in place while it melts.
So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 3 what? What did you put down there?
3 steel brackets right here. This is my last one I have to do.
Oh, look at that.
And this is a bracket made of stainless with bolts in it, and we're going to fasten it to the roof. Now it's important that these get screwed into structure below. So I have to know where these are going, so we put solid blocking underneath so we can screw into it.
All right, well I can see that you've got that marked off, so that is already done, and you're putting them into the roof?
We're going to put them into the roof, but the first thing we're going to do is going to put this mastic down here on the roof.
So this is an adhesive as opposed to a sealant, or
It's
both?
an adhesive, and it's a waterproofing, everything. So it's going to seal right down under there so no water will get underneath this.
Gotcha.
It's just a line, another line of defense. Slide that in there, and then we put these screws in here. We have to also worry about holding it down tight, but we have to worry about shear strength too. So you want to make sure you use the right kind of screw.
It pains me to see you put a screw through our newly rubbered waterproof roof.
I know it. But we'll be able to seal that right up. I put in a piece of rubber right over it. I'll show you how.
Now you can definitely tell you got structure underneath there.
Oh yeah. If I didn't have it, the screw would just spin out, and then you got to worry about it ripping off the roof. You don't want it pulling the brackets out of the roof. Okay, so now that we have that screwed down, the next thing I'm going to do is just wipe off any of this dirt, clean the area nice, and I'm going to take this cement, and we're going to go right around the bracket and over the bracket too with this contact cement. So we want to put it right on the roof. Okay, so we just coat that like that. We got to give it a few minutes for it to get tacky. And then we'll take another piece of uncured rubber and lay it right over it. And once I lay this down, I don't get a second chance, so I want to make sure it's right. Put it down there, and I'm slowly going to work my way up the roof, putting it in, trying to lay it flat as I can, till I get almost to those bolts sticking out. Take my knife. I'm going to put a slice in it here. Slice in this one. Now I should be able to stretch that right over those nuts and bolts. Push it down. Okay, now I gotta slowly work my way back.
So now I feel a lot better about those screws that you just put through our roof.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely sealing it right up nice and tight. And I want to push everything down, start in the middle and work my way out. All right, so now we're going to put the top plate on, but just before that, we're going to put a little bit of this around the crack or slice that I made. Now we'll take that bracket.
It's another piece of aluminum.
Yeah, another piece of aluminum, all drilled, lines up with the bolt sticking through our bracket on the roof. so now we're going to put this washer on first, and that little rubber part of the washer goes down first.
That's interesting. So even the washer has got a little gasket there.
Yeah, it'll seal it everywhere. Take this one, screw this one down. Okay, now we'll put a nut on there. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take this black lap sealant. I'm going to go around the bracket.
It's like the whole system was developed by a guy who had to go back up on the roof and chase a leak.
Probably right.
And he said, never again.
All right, now our brackets are in, and we're going to install pipes through the hole to hold the snow back. And these pipes are aluminum, and they come in different materials. You can get them in bronze, copper, whatever you want. These are aluminum. All right, now I'll get the coupling on first. I'll slide that pipe in.